Good afternoon for everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. First, I would like to welcome all of you in the fourth session of the online training activity course at the College of Medicine and Health Science. I think maybe many of you are asking why we changed from GoToWebinar to Zoom. In reality, there are many reasons why we did. First of all, I think it's very important to discover other softwares or applications and see all the available options. Especially that I heard that our subscription for GoToWebinar will end by June. So now it's a good opportunity to see the other software, the advantage, the options available, and then maybe this will help us to choosing the one that best suit us as College of Medicine. The other reason and main reason is that Dr. Fadi Shalabi, our guest speaker, want to explain some important topics regarding the online teaching, but unfortunately it's not available, or the tools necessary, the necessary tools are not available in GoToWebinar. That is why we said it's better to do this presentation using the tools available in Zoom. And as you know, all of you, that Zoom is very known, very common, and is used in many of the institutions for online teaching. The last one may be economic. I think the university will be happy because Zoom, if we choose Zoom, because Zoom is less expensive, so they will not pay too much money for that. And now please allow me to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Fadi Shalabi. Dr. Fadi has PhD in management in higher education from the University of Kassel in Germany, and a master degree in teaching methods of English language from the University of Edinburgh in UK. Actually, Dr. Fadi is in Berlin, in Germany, where he's a lecturer and consultant in e-learning. Dr. Fadi also is consultant in the field of design thinking and design sprint. Dr. Fadi is entrepreneur, founder, and CEO of University. University is a new established institution which focus on the online delivery of education. They are doing many seminar, workshop, training for faculty, students, administrative staff. So it's the good time to do some collaboration with Dr. Fadi and this university. Dr. Fadi is also founder and leader of the Center of High Education Research. I know Dr. Fadi, he was former colleague and friend. I know him from Damascus University, where we were both faculty at Damascus University, and Dr. Fadi was at the same time the Director of International and Cultural Relations at the University of Damascus. Dr. Fadi was also a scientific director at the Scientific Society for Informatics. On behalf of the college, our college, College of Medicine and Health Science, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Dr. Fadi for accepting our invitation for this session and to grant us some precious time. Now I would like to hand over to Dr. Fadi to start his presentation, wishing you all enjoyable and profitable session. And I would like to remind you that at the end of this presentation, we will allocate some time for any question you might have. Dr. Fadi, you are welcome. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Please, you can start your presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much, Dr. Saad, for this great introduction. I'm really honored to be with you today at the campus of your esteemed university, and it's also my pleasure to be with you to discuss some ideas about the transformation of education from traditional education to digital or e-learning, since I have been in this field for the last 5 years, and I've established university, which is this online institution that focuses on teaching online. And just also to add to what Dr. Saad has already said about why we chose Zoom today for the lecture, and sorry for any inconvenience we may have caused by canceling a webinar and inviting you to another one. The reason is when I was, I asked Dr. Saad to do kind of a training on GoToWebinar just to make sure that I master all the tools and I can deliver all the information I wanted. And I was kind of a little bit surprised that GoToWebinar does not have all the tools that Zoom has. And Zoom allows us to do many more things. And because I am a teacher and I teach online, I enjoy also all these tools of Zoom. And I always thought that GoToWebinar, because it's much more expensive, that it has more tools, but unfortunately no. So when I was discussing with Dr. Suad that Zoom has this and this and this, so we decided to switch so I can also use the tools and also show you the tools. And since the university is in the phase of taking a decision very soon on choosing the platform to use for interactive teaching, so we thought it's a good idea that we show you Zoom. So sorry for this, and thank you very much for accepting this. Dr. Suad, allow me to move you back to the student seat, and maybe at the end of the session, I will bring you back to the
sure.
So just that we have the whole screen for the presentation.
Okay, sure.
And this is also as a feature in Zoom, by the way, that I can invite someone to be a speaker, a student to be a speaker, and he or she can present and show screen, share screen, and then bring him back to the student's place. Okay, so now, Dr. Suad, you are rejoining as a student. Okay, so what we will do today, actually, I have prepared kind of a few slides that I can show you at the beginning, and then we go to the practical part of the presentation. So the topics that I would like to discuss with you today, the basic skills of online teaching, what does everyone need to have, especially technical skills, to deliver online education in an engaging and interactive and also attractive way. What do we mean by traditional versus interactive e-learning? And we will talk about the Zoom tools and features. And just at the end, I will tell you about some of the engagement activities that we can use with the students to always engage them. And I will start by this quote by Benjamin Franklin. He says, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I learn." And I think we as teachers, this is our main, one of our main challenges, let's say, is how to engage students with us. And when it comes to e-learning, I will just go back here maybe so I can interact much more better. In e-learning, the challenge that the teacher faces is, like now me, for instance, I am sitting in front of a screen and a camera, and the students who are now, you are representing students sitting, each one is in home, office, cafe, wherever, and I am sitting looking at the camera. But my challenge as a teacher is to keep you engaged all the time and to make sure that you are following up with me as a student. Because this is what is learning is about. We want to encourage more learning and to make it a learner-centered process where the focus is on the learner himself. But since the teacher here cannot see a lot, cannot have any kind of reaction from the eyes of the students, the nods of the students, the movement of the students, the only thing I can see is the lens of my camera, because now I'm looking directly at the camera. And maybe when I look at my screen, this is all what I can see. So I need to have this strategies of engaging with my students. This is, I would say, the main challenge that usually we have. Okay. What are the basic e-learning skills? I mean, I will just talk a little bit about some of what I see as an expert in this field, and I work as a consultant for many universities and educational institutions. some of the technical skills that people who are not only, by the way, teachers, also people who use kind of like the social media channels to communicate with their people. So the first thing is usually is the lighting. The lighting is very important, that you have to have a lighting in front of you instead of behind you. So even sometimes if you have a window behind you, it's not recommended that you sit with the window behind you, because then your face will be kind of black or very dark. So you have to have a decent lighting facing you. There is one caution here, which is if you're wearing glasses like me, the light should not be vertical to your eyes, because then the light will be reflected from the lenses and the students don't see your eyes, which is very important for them usually in interactive learning. For instance, now in my case, I have a white light, but I make it like not direct to my eye, but I think the lighting is very good. The camera angle is also another important issue. I see it. I mean, all these skills I'm talking about now are all the skills that make the student who is sitting also behind his screen or behind his mobile phone or computer or whatever, he needs to see someone who is looking at him in a way that resembles or the real life. So some of the mistakes that usually happen are the following. If you are working on a laptop, usually, so you put the laptop on the table, and then the camera will be maybe here. So all the time you are looking like this at the screen. So the student has the feeling that he is looking at you like this. So we try to avoid this by putting the laptop or the screen or even the mobile phone that we're using on a high thing, like a box or stack of books or whatever, just to make the camera level with the eye level. Like now I am just, without looking down or up, I am looking now straight and the camera is in front of me exactly. And this helps a lot with the communication with the students. And the fourth point is eye contact. The teachers who are teaching online always need to have as much as possible looking at the camera. I know that you have sometimes to look at the screen if you have a presentation, but try to increase the amount of time you spend on looking exactly at the camera. So now maybe you can feel that I am talking to you. I'm looking at the camera. Now I can talk to you, but I'm looking at something else. You feel maybe the difference. When I am looking at the camera, you have the feeling that I am reaching you wherever you're sitting and talking to you personally. The camera and microphone, usually the microphone is an issue. Maybe we started today with kind of a sound problem from my side. So I always advise that people or teachers invest, especially if e-learning is an integrated part of your job and you have to do it often. I really advise to invest in a microphone. Because the audio is very, very important in teaching. If the students are not hearing very, very well, all the other qualities that you put in terms of you as a teacher or the presentation will lose a big part of its quality because of the sound. So I would say the microphone is really very, very important to have, especially if you're using also a laptop. The laptop microphone is not usually a high quality one. Even if you have an Apple, it's not, it's better than others. The better the computer, the better the microphone. But there is one challenge. The computer has its own machines working at the same time, and the microphone is inside the machine. So it always has this kind of sound. And the distance between your mouth and the microphone also creates this echo. So I would recommend having a microphone. If you can also have a good webcam, this would be also an added value to the online teaching. So the best scenario would be to have a webcam, a good webcam, and a good microphone. And when I say good, it's not that expensive thing. It's just that things that have been made for this. Especially, nowadays, these microphones that are used for broadcasting or e-learning, they have this very nice feature, which is taking the sound only from the speaker. So if there is some sound around me, it does not take it. And this feature depends on the brand and the price, usually, it's better. But even I would not say, I mean, the decent ones have this feature, and it is enough that it cancels all the other kind of noise around you and focuses only on the sound. And also has this feature whether to take the sound vertically or 180 degrees or 90 degrees. You can always play with the settings. And the last thing is the background. The background is very important also with the teaching. I mean, just choose also decent background. And the nice thing about Zoom is it allows you to have a nice background. So here, as you can see, I have your university building behind me, and I have prepared some other backgrounds I can show you and share with you, but maybe when we talk about the virtual backgrounds later on. But you know, when I was discussing this with Dr. Suad, we were thinking of having kind of a unified formal background for all the teachers of the university. So whenever a teacher appears, it is always the same, maybe with his or her name on it. This is what would be special for the teacher or the professor, is his name on it, but it has the university logo or university. I mean, you decide what do you have on this picture, and then all the teachers, when they appear online, it is always unified, and it's very nice, and it's very easy process to do on Zoom, and I will show you this later. Okay. So these are the basic technical skills I would always recommend to keep in mind when teaching, because they keep the, I see a raised hand. I don't know whether the raised hand, so let me see, Professor Balama, so please click the unmute button and you can talk. Or maybe it was raised by chance. Okay. I would prefer if we leave the questions till the end. And if you have a question, by the way, that you need to write, you don't want to forget, there is an icon called Q&A at the bottom of your screen. Just click this icon and write a question, and I receive the question. I see it as a question. Okay. So as I said, these were the basic skills that keep the engagement of or give the students this psychological feeling that the teacher who is there is really talking to them and really giving them this communication feeling. So now we move to what I would call it the interactive or live e-learning and the traditional e-learning. As you may all know, the traditional e-learning started maybe by 2010-11, but actually the real start happened in 2012 with the first MOOC, the massive open online learning course that happened in I think it was Harvard or Stanford University, when they wanted to offer a course that is taught at the university for free online. And this, I think, was the first MOOC that happened. And then there was a big push to all these MOOCs, and universities have followed, in tens. And I think it was booming between 2013 and 2016. The MOOCs have been really booming, and more universities were offering their courses online. Of course, the idea was not to award degrees. It was that we spread the knowledge, especially with the decreased number of seats in higher education, with the increasing number of people who are willing or who want or who need education. So then they had this idea. However, this idea started to suffer, I think, as of 2016 till today. It's still spread, but it has one main issue, which is the completion rate. The completion rate across the or internationally for online courses is 8%. So, and when I say 8%, I mean, I don't mean, for instance, like in your case, maybe the completion rate is 100% because it's part of an obligatory program. They have registered in this program, and now it's a Corona time and they have to attend. So I'm not talking about this, I'm talking about the idea of having the courses that are recorded, pre-recorded and put online, or skills courses, or all these courses that are on Coursera, edX, Allison, Udemy. This is from the Western or the Western part of the world. In the Arab world, we have Idrak, we have Riwaq, we have Nadros, we have University. University is in between. It's in Germany, but it is targeting Arab people. So the traditional e-learning actually is when everything gets recorded. I mean, the lecture is recorded. So the teacher sits in front of a camera alone and starts to record the lecture, and then takes this recording and puts it in an LMS. And what we mean by LMS, the Learning Management System, I don't know which LMS you're using at your university, but this is the place where students log in. They have accounts, they log in, and they access the recording of the lecture, they access the quizzes, they access maybe the extra resources, they can communicate with each other, they can have soul. Okay, thank you very much. They can have peer learning, they can have group work, all these things happen. However, the main challenge still was the engagement of students, how we engage students, how we make them really motivated to be in the education or in the learning process. How do we really want them to learn? Because the idea is not that we teach, we want them actually to learn. And in English language, even in Arabic language, this is very nice that we have teaching and we have learning. And these are two concepts of the educational process. So we as teachers, we do our part of the teaching, but we have to make sure also that the learning part on from the side of the students also happens. And we need to empower our students with all the tools that allow them to actually be able to really learn. So that's why the LMSs started to boom actually during the last 2 years with a lot of features, engagement activities. And there was then the introduction of, I would say, a revolutionary idea in education, which is gamification. It is even so hard to translate this in Arabic, but I think gamification is really the word. When we use the philosophy or the psychology of achievement and competition and being or wanting to win as part of the educational process. And this, according to research and according to our own experiences, when we started to use gamification at university, we really had kind of a huge wave of extra learning, and people wanted, even when they pass the exam and they get their certificate of what they're learning, they repeat the exam because they want to compete. If they got 80, they want to have 90. And if we post, I mean, we use this sometimes, these techniques, we post on some special groups that we had 2 or 3 students in your group who scored 100. And then in the next 2 hours, you find like 25% of the registrants of this course repeat the exam, even though they had they passed and they had the certificate. Because here we are encouraging encouraging the competition, but actually what we want is learning. So when they repeat and when they do this and when they have all these feelings inside them, what we care about is that they are learning. Learning is happening, and we encourage them by doing these things. So as I said, the main problem of this traditional e-learning thing was the lack of guidance, the lack of communication between the students and their teachers. And by the way, this 8% I have mentioned, in the Arab world, it's tragically 2% only. So 2% only of people who start their online courses finish them. And maybe when you ask people, how many courses do you have on Coursera? Yeah, I have registered in 12. I mean, personally, I have, I think, 17 courses at Coursera, and I finished only 2 or 3 of them. In Idrak, people, because Idrak is free, and it's nice to say, well, I am a member of Idrak community, so people register in courses, but the completion rate is only 2%. And maybe when they start, the course, they are really, really motivated, and then they lose this motivation. And here comes the interactive e-learning as to, inject this motivation inside the process, and also create this communication between the teacher and the student and give this element of guidance that the students like. And when it comes to guidance, I mean, I have done a research in the Arab world about e-learning, and guidance rate ranked as #1 problem in e-learning. Arab young people, obviously, I mean, the way they have been raised up, the Arab culture, they like to be guided. They like to be told what to do. How is this session processing? What is coming next? What should I do in the exam? And if I finish the exam, what happens? In the traditional e-learning, the student has to figure out all these things by himself. And of course, if the student does not have the system inside him and the motivation and the will actually lose this battle against the online course. When it comes to interactive live learning, then we create this interaction between the student and the teacher. And also we have this element of guidance. The teacher is there telling them what to do. This is what we're doing now. Now you do exam. After the exam, I meet you next week. We will do this and this. And you know, in university, my institution where I'm working now, we only teach through interactive e-learning, live e-learning. And now we started actually really teaching by the beginning of 2019, so only by the beginning of last year. But from January 2019 till May 2020, we have taught around 15,000 students. And we are so proud that our completion rate of our course, I mean, we don't teach anything academic. People don't have to do them. We teach only skills courses, just to let you know. And we are so proud that our completion rate is 92%. So 92% of our students actually complete our courses. And even by complete, I say that they pass, not only do the course, I mean, they really do the exam and they pass the exam. And I think in the online learning, this percentage of completion has never happened. I mean, I've never read about skills courses that are done online with such a high completion rate. And the reason behind this is our use of the interactive learning, where the teacher actually, we have the guidance, we have the interactive boards, we have the gamification, and we have the live quizzes. In the traditional e-learning, we have, you know, through the LMS, we have the peer learning, the group work, drip or scheduled content, extra resources, tests, different accounts types. What is actually nice, when we actually, you cannot do this or this. You can do traditional e-learning alone or traditional e-learning plus interactive e-learning. So actually what we do, everything that happens during the live interactive session where we teach, and maybe where you are teaching also through GoToWebinar, is recorded. And this recording goes now to the LMS. So all the guidance and interaction and live quizzes and gamification that we can do online live with the students, everything gets recorded. And then we give this recording and we put it on the LMS. And this is, of course, our freedom to say, okay, I make this available for the next 24 hours. For any reason a student or two could not make it, they can watch again. Or I say, okay, if you would like to review the information, I make it available for you for 24 hours, 48 hours, 1 week, I mean, or forever. I mean, it's up to the teacher or the nature of the course we are teaching. And then, of course, at the LMS, all the other things happen. The peer learning, group work, all the other things also happen. When we do the interactive e-learning, we just do the teaching, the session, the content delivery happens live and in an interactive way with the students. One nice thing here is that we found out, I mean, this was a surprise also for me. Let me maybe here stop sharing the screen. What really a surprise for me was when you record a live session, and then you put the recording in the LMS and ask the students to look at it, they enjoy it much, much more than you record a static session. Like you as a teacher sit in front of a camera and you do the whole thing and you do the recording and then you edit it and you add something to it and then you take this file, the MP4 file, and you put it on the LMS. So when students actually watch these videos that are pre-recorded static videos, obviously they get bored. In the recorded interactive session, because, you know, when I am teaching and other teachers are teaching, you know, they are talking to, yeah, Samir, yeah, Muhammad, yeah, Peter. So I'm talking to these people. And the one who is sitting actually and watching the recording, even though he knows that it is not live, but he feels that it is interactive. It's as if it's happening now. And it also gets better when one of the attendees has the same name, so he feels that he is talked to, even during the recording. And to be honest, I did not know that. I mean, even now, if we want to do a course, we try to record the session with people live, because it gets interactive. People ask questions, raise their hand, they come to the screen, they share something, and then we put this recording as the content that we want to show the others. And it is obviously much more attractive to the people. This is a finding from our experience that I never thought of. Okay, so now I will move a little bit to Zoom. So this, I don't know whether there is a question now about this online learning or interactive versus traditional. I think maybe you all know this. I just wanted to highlight some of the features of this and how we can integrate them together. And maybe if you're not using gamification, because I know from my humble experience in the Gulf especially, it's always a challenge to motivate students to do their learning or to do their part of the education. And gamification is a very nice solution for such a thing. And there are a lot of options for gamification, I mean, in terms of ideas and in terms also of softwares and websites that you can use live. I will tell you maybe at the end about a couple of things you can use, and maybe if we do another session after Eid, I can try it live in front of you, so you can see how you can create a game online and you make it live during the online session. It makes people always very, very interactive, and they like. I mean, as I said at the beginning, one of our main challenges as teachers, when these students are sitting and watching their screen, we want them to really watch their screen, not to open another tab on their emails or their Facebook or their WhatsApp and do something else. We want them to really be engaged. And with these games, you know, we see the names, we see the number of people who are participating. Especially also the Zoom and GoToWebinar, they have this polls idea when you have a question on the screen. So if you have 50 people attending and 45 people have answered, so you know that 5 people are not really paying attention. You don't know who they are, but at least you know it gives you an impression that, okay, 45 people, which is more than 90%, or actually 90% attention. Do you have the attention of 90% of the attendees? This is these are the indicators we use during a live session to make sure that the students are following us. So now, since I was asked also by the administration to talk a little bit about Zoom, as I mentioned, I work as a consultant in e-learning and in all the tools. And because I do this, I have studied all the platforms. And I know, for instance, the leading ones, Zoom, GoToWebinar, WebEx, and Microsoft Teams. There is also Webinar Jam, there is Werby, there is Demio. And if you ask me my personal opinion after using these in different situations with different institutions, Zoom actually comes at the top. And I see a question about the security of Zoom. And I need to tell you, yes, some information, because this was in the news for some time now. Zoom is like any other service, actually. There was only one. Let me just explain the problem that was the problem and how they dealt with it. You know, when you have a session and you record it, Zoom gives you 2 options: either to record it on the cloud. I mean, your account usually comes with a cloud account, or it allows you to record it on your computer. So if you record it on a cloud, then after the session is done, the recording has a link. It is like Google Drive link, like when you have, for instance, a secret file, let's say on your computer and on your drive, and you give the link to someone. This link now, this someone who has the link can access this file, right? Now, if anyone on earth has the link, they can access this link. What happens is when, the Corona started and the use of Zoom really exploded, and always when there is something like this, the bad people appear. So these hackers were thinking, okay, there is maybe a logarithm of generating these links. So they were expecting, like, how can they look maybe at 100 or 1,000 links, and they could get the idea, and then they could know that this meeting could be this link, or they tried, and actually at that time they hacked the recordings, and this happened. This happened not because, it could happen to Google, it could happen to Facebook, it could happen to anyone. But when it happened, Zoom had to react. And they reacted in a very, very good way. So now this cannot happen anymore. There was another issue with Zoom, which is not that it is a problem with Zoom, it is the problem with the users of Zoom. And this is why some companies even started to stop using Zoom. It's actually not because of Zoom, it's because of their employees. It's the personal ID. If I give you, or if I show you by chance the personal ID of my Zoom, then with this ID, you can access any meeting I'm having, always. So people were not aware of this. So maybe they put it on Facebook, they send it by email, it gets known by others. So if I am having, maybe you don't know when I'm having the meeting, but you can try. If you're a hacker, you can try. So, and then it happens that you are inside the meeting. And then inside the meeting, when we have Zoom meeting, everyone, or this was in the past, everyone has the right to share his screen and talk. And this is where the problem happened. So they could actually not hack. There was no security issue with Zoom. The security issue was with the owner of the IDs, who were just showing them on the internet. And the hackers were, of course, smart. They said, okay, I take this key and I log into your meeting. From my experience, Zoom reacted in a very, very, very professional way, and the management of Zoom did very well managing of this crisis, and they solved the server issues. No one can now access these recordings. There were some servers where, the recordings was saved on some servers in China. Now you can choose in which servers you would like to have. Now the data is encrypted. No one can hack anything. And if you have a meeting, now you can create a password, you can create a waiting room. So people, even if they join, they come to a meeting room, to a waiting room, and and you as an organizer of a meeting, you get a notification that X is in the waiting room. So you either ask him to leave or you allow him. And now the organizer has the right to give the right to others to share, to talk, to appear, and also giving the passwords of meetings. There was 2 pieces of news only just last week, one in a church and one, it was broadcast on BBC. And they talked again. It was a security issue of Zoom. It was not a security issue of Zoom. It's only that the people who prepared for the meeting, they invited people for the meeting, they put in the invitation on Facebook page the personal ID of the meeting. With this personal ID of the meeting, it's like having, a very secret meeting with people, and you just leave the key somewhere in the garden and say, this is the key for this room where we are having the secret meeting. So when people get the key and enter the room, it's not because the security system of your building is wrong. It is just because you left the key in the wrong place. So I would say, from an expert point of view and from someone who uses Zoom for our institution, and we were a little bit kind of concerned when this story happened. So we were following, we even communicated, because we have a huge amount of accounts on Zoom. We communicated with the company, and now I would say it is as safe as, as anything, the best safe thing on the internet. Because I always say, whenever you have something online, who knows? Nothing is safe. Always we find problems with Apple, with Google, with Facebook. Things are on servers somewhere. But this is our life. We cannot now go back and say, okay, I don't want to use it because it's on a server. It doesn't work. Anyway, with even the recordings, you can record on your computer, on the servers of your university. This is also possible. I stopped recording on the cloud long time ago, even before this crisis, because I like the way of doing it on my computer and then trimming it. So I trim the beginning, trim the end. I do some editing sometimes. So I like to have it on the computer immediately. So if you record it even on your computer, there is no way, if you keep the personal ID safe, there is no way that someone can hack your meeting. So this is just concerning the security issue of Zoom. And let me move directly to the Zoom. I have to talk about the issue of the virtual background and also the breakout rooms. And I just would like to let you know that this breakout rooms, when you buy the account for Zoom, there is Zoom, which is popular, the whole world is Zoom meeting, where actually everyone who is in the meeting is on the screen. But now we are on Zoom, but this is a different product by Zoom. It's called Zoom Webinar. But of course, to get Zoom Webinar, you have to have an account of Zoom Meeting. So usually, if you have a Zoom webinar, so at the same time you have a Zoom meeting, so you can have a meeting with people where they appear on the screen, and you can have a classroom. We call this also virtual classroom because it really simulates all the features of the classroom with raising hands, polls, questions, bringing someone to the stage. Everything that happens in the classroom could happen here in a virtual environment. The nice thing about having the breakout rooms used not in the webinar, I mean, not in the classroom, it's used in the meeting. So usually when I teach a small group of students, what we do is the following. I say, okay, at the beginning, they receive the schedule of their workshop. It's 3-4 days workshop. So I say, okay, the first session will be in the classroom. We will meet in the classroom. And of course, the classroom for them, it's a link and it's a hyperlink. So they go to the classroom, they click there and they are here. And here, when they are in the classroom, it is usually the theoretical part of the content. When I deliver content, I talk. I don't want all the noise, all the interruption, all the distraction, because when students see themselves, also they get distracted and they have to get prepared. They have to prepare themselves and their settings. It takes them time. So here I want them to really listen to me. And then after I finish the theoretical part, I say, okay, now it's break time. After break, we will meet in the meeting room. So actually, they close this. I close the session. They go for lunch break, coffee break, whatever. They come back, and then they click the second link, which takes them to the meeting room. Now I have the 25 in the meeting room, and I say, now I will divide you to 5 groups. Each group is 5 people, and I will give each group a project to work on or something to discuss, and then I will give you 1 hour. After 1 hour, we come back to the main meeting room, and each group has to present. It's actually the same thing that happens in real life. And Zoom gives us this possibility that after you divide the people into 5 groups, and then with a click of a button, each 5 will go to a room. And you as the organizer, kind of like you can move from one room to the other. So you go to room 1 and you talk to team 1, and then you leave to room 2, you talk to team 2, you go to team 3. And you can also give this right to anyone else. Like if you have an assistant or a co-teacher, whatever, you can give him or her this right, and then they also can move. And after they finish, and here I have to say that we use interactive boards. Interactive boards are other products that we have integrated into our system. The interactive board is not by Zoom. I mean, Zoom, I will show you now, it has a board, but it's not interactive. I mean, what I mean by interactive is that the students also can write on it simultaneously. I mean, everything they do synchronize at the same time. So I also do this with my students when I want them to write ideas about something. So I share the board, it's a link, I give them the link, and now everyone is on the board and writing, and I see everyone who is writing. And also when I divide them to 5 groups, and each one is sitting in, maybe, I mean, in my situation, they are sitting in 27 countries. I don't know how many cities. So for each 5 of them, we give a board, which is a link, so where they can discuss their ideas and produce presentation or whatever they want to produce. And after 1 hour, I just click another button and then bring them back, and each group will present. So this is the nice feature of breakout rooms. And for the virtual background and the breakout rooms, it is impossible that I share my screen and show you this, because it is, of course, for the meeting, we have to be in a meeting, and then we do the breakout rooms. And if I want to show you even the virtual background, this means that I have to show you my own screen, which is technically impossible, because then the screen will record itself, and this will cause the what's called the tunnel effect. And then we will have the screen, I don't know, a million times in a kind of a tunnel shape. So the only way I could show you how to set up, I mean, how easy to set up the virtual background and how easy to set up the breakout rooms, I will show you two videos. Each one is very like 2.5 minutes, and then you can watch and see. But before this, I will just show you, maybe I received a question, do we need to have a green background? But I will just show you that I have prepared different backgrounds from the university. So this is one. This is one, this is one, this is one, this is one. And of course, as I said, we can design one for you with the logo or something you like with the name of the professor. I like this more. And also, of course, Zoom has the nice thing of even having, I mean, I will go to Hawaii now, a video behind you. I don't know how long this, I mean, because I tried a 52 seconds video behind me, and it worked so well. I can show you, this is a presentation that I did. So for instance, I was talking here about this, and I could present, I mean, it's a video behind me, and I can, it's working like very, very well. Now, do you need to have a green background? No. You don't have. I mean, Zoom tells you if you have a green background, there is a button to click, or there's a checkbox, you click it. It makes the quality better. But if you don't have it, you don't click this button, and Zoom has this ability to figure out the colors behind you and to put the picture you put. The only let's say thing is, or the only advice, try not to have too many different colors behind you if you don't have a green screen. Try not to have a lot of colors, because then it is difficult for the processor of Zoom. So if you have a white wall, this would be the best. And try to then not wear anything that has white in it. Otherwise, Zoom has problems, because then it will just take out white and brings the picture behind you. So try, I mean, if the wall is white, try to have a little bit darker color, and then everything is fine. Let me now share with you the two videos on how to set up, because as I mentioned, I cannot show you on the screen because technically it's not possible. Short videos on how to do the virtual background and how to do the breakout rooms.
Use virtual backgrounds. Now go ahead and open up Zoom. Now once you're here, you're going to be clicking on the cogwheel. Now the cogwheel is in the top right corner, and that's where you can find your main settings. So we're going to go ahead and click on that cogwheel. And then here on the left hand side, we're looking for virtual background. Now you can see it already gives you a preview of a virtual background, and this preview is going to demonstrate how that virtual background is going to look whenever you're holding a conference call. Now you can go with a static image. You can see there's a number of built-in images, or you can use one of these video files. Now you are not limited to just these files. You can upload your own video files, you can upload your own images. Now the built-in software of Zoom is pretty good at figuring out where you are and what your background is. However, whenever you are using video footage, make sure that you do not move too much, because when you do start moving, and I'll demonstrate that here, you'll see it does struggle a little bit picking up where the background is. So in order for that virtual background to look more realistic, you'll want to just have a normal conference call and keep your movements to the absolute minimum. Now, two more additional settings you have in this menu are down at the bottom. So you can turn on I have a green screen, and you can mirror your video. So when you mirror the video, obviously it is going to switch the sides. And when you have a green screen behind you, well then this effect is going to work even better. But as you can see from this footage, I do not have a green screen behind me, so I'm not going to tick this box right now. I'm going to close my settings and I'm going to start a meeting. Now, as you can see, my virtual background is switched on because I've activated it in my settings. But let's say that you want to join a meeting and you do not want to use that virtual background. Well, you can always switch it off manually. Now in the bottom left corner here, next to that stop video, we have an arrow. Now when we click on that arrow, it goes up and there we go, we have our virtual background settings. That brings me straight to that menu that we were in earlier, and I can now change it back to none. Now when I close this menu, I'm still in my meeting. Now you can change this halfway through a meeting, or you can change it for some parts of the meeting. By all means, play around with this. Let me know in the comment section below how you are using virtual backgrounds.
Okay, this was the virtual background. Now I'll show you the video for the breakout rooms.
Hey everyone, Farah from Zoom here. On this brief video, we're going to show you how you can leverage our breakout room feature to take a large meeting or virtual classroom and split it up into smaller groups or sessions. You'll see that I have already enabled the breakout room feature, which you can find in your settings along the bottom. And that breakout room button will actually be right here. This is a button that only your hosts or co-hosts will be able to see. And right now we don't have a co-host in the session. If I manage my participants, I can hover over Catherine, for example, to make her a co-host. So she'll see this button now as well. When we're ready to split the group into smaller sessions, I can easily click this button to get a pop-up window asking me how many rooms I'd like to assign out and how many participants per room. For this example, it's recommending, since there are 6 people, we can split it up into 2 rooms. I can do this automatically or manually. So if we click on the automatic button, it'll generate those breakout rooms for us. Certainly if there's anyone I want to swap out, maybe I want to move Michael to the other room, I can exchange him for a different participant. Once I'm ready to open all rooms, I'll click this open all rooms button and our participants will be able to join the sessions that we've created for them. So we'll slowly see those people join. One thing that's really important to note is that as a host or a co-host, you can actually hop between the different rooms to talk to the participants. You can see here I have the join button. Now everybody's left to go to the rooms. I can broadcast a message to everybody and say, wrapping up in 1 minute. And this will broadcast the message. And then I can close the rooms, which gives them a 1-minute timer to rejoin our session. We'll give everybody a second to rejoin, and I'll show you 1 or 2 additional features with breakout rooms. There we go. We can kind of see everybody kind of popping back in. Now everybody's rejoined the main session. You'll see that I have the opportunity to reopen these rooms again, which is really great. If you have a very long session or a very long virtual class, you can split into these virtual smaller groups as often as you'd like. And the additional options here will allow you to automatically close breakout rooms after a specified amount of time. You can also change the countdown timer to be 30 seconds or 2 minutes if you like. I'll show you a setting where you can also pre-assign folks to be in your breakout room before the classroom starts. You'll want to navigate over to the class that's already been created in your Zoom portal. Under the Meetings tab, you can find your meeting. Scrolling all the way to the bottom, you'll see if we open this to re-edit it, I have the opportunity to pre-assign a breakout room here. And I can create the rooms and upload a CSV with all of my participants in advance so that their names are already populated in the room when I start the session. That's basically how you can run breakout rooms. We hope you found this video helpful. If you have any additional questions, please visit us at support.zoom.us.
All right, so this was the breakout rooms and the virtual background, and you see how easy it is. I will show you now a little bit some of the features before we go to the question and answer. How you set up, how easy to set up a meeting in Zoom and how easy also to set up a webinar in Zoom. So let me take you to our account on Zoom. All right, so this is a university account or my account. So here we have, I have my profile and you see, for instance, here, this is the personal meeting ID. So before anyone could see this, nowadays they have made it with these little stars, so nobody can see it. If I click here, show, and you know the meeting ID, then you can hack any meeting that I have. However, also they created the possibility that you can change this personal ID, even if, I mean, if by any chance someone got it, you can change it, no problem at all. Okay, so here I have the meetings and the webinar. And of course, here is where you have, when you can access the recordings, the settings, and here, for instance, the role management, users, everything. And also here, you know, the reports for the attendees, the polls, the questions, the chats, everything that happens in a webinar or a meeting, you can get a report for it as an Excel sheet, and you can get all the data. So let me just show you how you create a meeting. So we go to meetings, and for instance here, schedule a new meeting. So of course here you type the test, and then here you write the description. It could be when, so you say when, you say the time. There is a nice feature which is here, recurring meeting. If you make it recurring, of course it tells you, is it daily, is it weekly, monthly, or no fixed. If it's no fixed, then the link will be working all the time. Whenever people, you know, I mean, let's say you have a team in the faculty, the dean, and the two vice deans, they meet every week or whenever they want. They just call and say, let's go to meeting. So instead of creating the whole meeting again, they just click this thing, this link, which will be done now, and then they are the three of them in this meeting. It could happen for anyone. So you can choose whether it's daily, monthly, weekly, and of course, when you say, for instance, weekly, then it tells you which days in the week and which time and when to stop it. And here, registration required. If you would like to ask for a meeting where you want to know who are the people who are registered, so this is another security issue. So you click here, and then people don't access the meeting immediately. They have to register, and you receive who registered for this meeting. And here, require meeting password. So you either require it or not. And the nice thing is you can choose, I mean, you can write your own password. And here, if you click this off for the video, if you click for the participants off, so people, when they come in the meeting, their cameras is off unless you allow it. This is another security issue. If you choose on, then everyone can have the camera on. But of course, you as an organizer, you can always switch the camera and the microphone of people. Here, enable join before host. This is also a security issue. I mean, it's up to you, and it's up to the nature of the meeting. So enable join before host means that if I am the organizer and let's say I am, people would like to meet 10 minutes before, or someone arrived before me, or for any reason I came or opened it late, people can be in the meeting room before I open it, but it's possible. If you don't want this to happen, that you don't want to have any you know, side discussions before you come, so you just unclick this and that's it. Enable waiting room. So if you enabled a meeting room, this means that anyone who comes to the meeting is received in a waiting room, and then you receive a notification, and then you bring him into the meeting room. This is the breakout room pre-assigned. So if you have a group of students and you have, you know, already the 5 groups in my example that you would like to have, so you prepare the CSV file and you insert it here, and then when the students are in the meeting, you just click breakout rooms, and according to the pre-assigned here names, the rooms are done and the participants go to their own rooms. And you can, of course, record the meeting automatically or not. Automatically means once you open it, it's recorded. Not automatically means that when you are in a meeting, you decide when to record or to stop or to pause. And so these are the main, so let's say here we choose to have a password and to not allow people to have their cameras on. I allow them to come before me. I enable the meeting room, and then I set save. I click save. And here it is. This is the link now, the invite link here, because there is no registration. So it's an invite link. So if I give this link to people, they can join the meeting at the time. And of course, you always can edit the meeting, edit all the information. There is nice thing if you have a Facebook group or YouTube channel, you would like to broadcast this meeting live. This is possible. So while you are in the meeting, you just click broadcast or live. I think I can show you now. And then, of course, you have to be connected to. You have to be the admin of the Facebook page or the Facebook group or the YouTube channel. And then you broadcast there, so you can also have it. We sometimes do this for students in countries where they can't access Zoom or they have difficulties with the video communication. We create a small, secret group on Facebook, and we actually broadcast our webinar on this Facebook group, and then we remove it afterwards. So we say it will be live during the session, and that's it, we remove it. It's only another way of being with the students, that if you have problems accessing Zoom for a reason or another, it could be like this. So this is for the meeting. If we go to the webinar, and we would like to schedule a new webinar, so these are our courses. So here you write, of course, the title, the description. If you have a template that you have used before that makes everything easy for you, this is possible. And it's the same thing here. You say when, or you make it recurring. And if you make it with no fixed time, this means that you can open this classroom whenever you want. Now, registration. Of course, you can ask people to register. Like for this webinar we are in today, I did not ask you to register. You just clicked on the link and you're in. But if you would like to know the people, you would like to collect email addresses, you would like to know who is in, so you just click this and choose one of these. So here, because we have chosen recurrence, so do they register for every one or only the first? So you always decide. If you make it only, sorry, it's not recurring, so they just register for this and that's it. You can also ask for a password or not, it's up to you. Panelists are like when I invited Dr. Suad, now she came to be a panelist. You can also invite panelists that when they join, they come immediately as a panelist. Now, Dr. Suad today, she joined as a student. I promoted her to panelist, and then she came back, or she went back to be with the students. I can bring her back. Or if I invite panelists, then they can come immediately. Panelist means another teacher. You can allow Q&A, enable practice session. Practice session is like GoToWebinar that you can have. You don't broadcast unless you're ready. So usually I use this feature because I need to make sure that my camera is okay, the lighting is okay, I look fine, my computer is working, and then I hit broadcast, and then the students can see. Make the webinar on demand. This is also nice. This with this option, it has to record on the cloud, because then people can ask for the recording, and then you can you can sell the webinar, or you can know if people are who want to attend in the future, so they can you can choose this option. And then after you schedule the webinar, now here you will receive the registration link. See, this is the registration link. And now you can put this on the website of the university, on your Facebook page, on your whatever, and people click and register, you put all the information. And of course, it has all the other email settings that it sends them emails, reminders, thank you for attending, sorry that you haven't attended, like for absentees, for attendees. You can have branding, all the information, you can create polls, you can create questions. Of course, Zoom has a lot of integrations inside. And of course, it's also the live streaming that you can broadcast. One last feature that I would like to show you about Zoom is the following. Zoom also, you can share another camera. So if you have a board that you write on it, or you want to show them something on your mobile phone, or you want to show them another screen or whatever, so you can share actually another screen. And now I have another, another camera. And I have now my other camera that I put it on in front of my other screen, so I can show you how you look at, for instance, here are the questions that I received. Here are you, the participants. Parents, it's only, sorry, here, it's only me, the panelists. And here, the chat, you see. And here, I have all the options how to share, how to create the polls. This is how I receive a notification for the question. I know how many participants. I start the video and the microphone. And here, if I would like, for instance, I'm recording this, so I can pause, stop recording, hide video panel, and I go here live on Facebook and live on YouTube. Of course, live on Workplace, it's another product by Facebook. It's only for companies or educational institutions. You can have this. So these are the, and of course you can annotate on the, if you have a PowerPoint presentation or PDF, you can write on it, you can draw on it, you can do a lot of things on it. So now I'm sharing another camera, so you can still see me and you can see another camera. The very last thing is the whiteboard of Zoom. So this is the whiteboard of Zoom. This is not interactive, it's only me, I can write on it. I can write, I can type, I can draw, I can, for instance, I can do, yeah, many things actually. I can even write text. And the students can see. The only challenge here is that you have to have either a tablet, and Zoom you can connect to an iPad and you can write, or if your computer, like my computer has the pen feature on it, so I can have my computer and I can write with a pen. It's much easier. Now here it's with the mouse, it's a little bit difficult. So these are all the features of Zoom, and I think I am done. I can now ask Dr. Suad to come back and we can take and look at the questions that we have received. So Dr. Suad, please, I will look for your name and bring you back to the session. And I also talked about having some gamification issues or websites. I can mention that there are two. I will write them on the chat. There is Kahoot.com. I don't know whether you use this. Kahoot.com. And there is also Menti.com. These are two websites. I mean, we can do, as I said, we can do another session on gamification ideas because it's a whole world of things. There are games or gamification methods we can use live online with our students. And there are also gamification tools we can let them use on their LMS. So I can give them something to do on their own and they can compete and I can look at the results. But now the time I think we have is not enough to talk about this. But these are the two websites that are there. Dr. Suadia, please, we can start having questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Fadi, for this rich and very interesting presentation. We learn many new things, and I think we have to learn more and more because the online teaching becomes an integrated part in our teaching methods. And I think even after this coronavirus breakout, having a hybrid of both online teaching and the classical teaching will be a very good way to deliver the education to students. Thank you so much, Dr. Fadi, again. And I think we can open the session for questions. We can have some questions.
Yeah, of course, if you would like to ask by the microphone, please just use the raise hand features and I can give you the microphone. But I already have some questions. I will start with the, while I'm answering the questions, you can please go ahead and raise your hand. So I have a question by, and I'm sorry, I will just say the name, Mohan. Could you please tell us about some good gamification software is useful for medical education? Yeah, well, medical education I have to research, but I know that there are a lot, not a lot, but there are few. And there's also with medical things, there are the virtual VR, the virtual reality things, to have 3D images of things where students can play with it. But we can research on this topic. The two I mentioned only that you can allow them to have interactive quizzes or games while you are online with them. And when we use it and we advise other institutions to use it, it really increased remarkably the engagement of students and the learning. Because when they answer the questions in a type of a game, I don't know why, but for some reason they learn. I mean, the information stick in their mind. So I have a question by, this is anonymous. Google Classroom also has interactive board. How do you compare G Suite with Zoom? Well, G Suite is not like, yes, Google Classroom is nice, but it is very, very primitive in its tools. And it has also one, I would say, problem, which is the customization and localization. Always with these features that are ready and usually for free, these are the two main problems: customization and localization. So G Suite has a lot of features. I mean, sometimes I use a lot of Google G Suite features, but with Zoom. Instead of using Google Classroom, I use Zoom, but which I use, for instance, Google Drawing. I use Google Docs or Google Slides with my students when they work together on something that they have to do synchronously, at the real time, simultaneously. So we use the Google things. But for the video communication and for the classroom itself, we use Zoom because it's much more powerful. Is it possible to edit the recording before uploading it to an LMS? Yes, of course. The only thing is you need to have an editing software. So if you have an Apple, I think Apple comes already with a free software. I forgot the name because I'm not an Apple guy, but I think it's called Screen something. And there is one free version of it, and there is paid version, and you can take the video as a file MP4, and you can put it inside and you can edit. If you have a Windows, then Camtasia is the best product. It's not free, but it's not that expensive. But Camtasia, you can put the video inside and you can add a lot. I mean, text, images, sounds, anything. So of course, yes, you can do. It's like any video, you can edit it anywhere you want. I think we can also use Zoom short keys yeah, of course, Zoom has a lot of short keys, these smart things. Scribble option available in GoToWebinar. I don't know what is the Scribble option. If you please tell me what is Scribble option, what does it do, because I don't know. Kindly follow up with more sessions on the tools you mentioned, like gamification. Well, it's my pleasure, yeah, sure. So this is maybe Dr. Saad's mission. What is the future of on-campus education? Is it going to end? I don't think so, and I don't hope so. I am a very activist in the field of e-learning. However, I would say that e-learning is not an alternative. It is an add-on. It it just gives an addition. However, I mean, when it comes to, like, let's say I am leading now an online institution. It's based in Germany, but all our students are in the Arab world, and actually the whole world, but mainly in the Arab world. But we don't teach academic things that need to have physical existence. And we have been very successful in reaching and delivering the knowledge. There are, especially with medical education. With medical education, it's so difficult to have everything online. By the way, I just was reading the news the other day that they are now looking for solutions for this, and there is ideas for online medical education that has all the options that kind of replacing the physical in case the physical is not possible. However, I would say the blended form of education is the best when we have both, especially when we talk about a university, because university is also, it's a place where they have these social relations and social things together. They build their personalities. So my best option would be to have both of them. How do you conduct exams online in your university with online proctoring, timed quizzes, or open time? Actually, since we are not a university, we are called Newversity. It's just a startup name. We wanted to be cool and to say there is a new way of education. And for us, since we teach skills, we don't really care. I mean, most of our exams kind of are open book exams because we don't care about we care only that the learning happens. However, yes, we use timed exams. So we have our softwares. We can set up the exam. And, when you start it, it finishes after 50 minutes, and that's it. We can allow sometimes repetition if you don't reach the 80% that we usually have for passing, then you can repeat twice. Sometimes, I mean, it depends on the course. Sometimes we say, okay, this test is open for 2 days and you do it. And we don't, I mean, we really love if you Google things and you learn to answer, why not? I mean, no problem, because we are teaching skills courses. However, when it comes to exams where you need to time it and it is like an academic degree is behind the exam, yes, there should be more stricter things. So now here I see on this chat, we can give presentation at a conference or classroom, big screen, very easy to use. Yes, Zoom allows you to do this. Thank you very much. Some students are complaining with GoToWebinar that they are losing contact intermittently. Would it happen with Zoom also? How to overcome this problem? We never had this problem, so they lose contact.
Maybe it's problem of internet, Dr. Fadi.
Yeah, in our situation, there are only 3 countries where our students have this problem: Syria, Yemen, and Libya. Only these 3 countries, students sometimes suffer. And I see it from the report that I see, for instance, one name with one email, but they access the same session like 12 times because of the cuts of the, I think it's the internet issue. It's not Zoom, it's the internet issue. Have you any experience with Cisco WebEx? Yes, I do. It's not as good as my experience with Zoom. University is actually a partner with Cisco Academy, and we teach a lot of their courses, and we have also joint degrees with Cisco, and we use WebEx. I wouldn't say that it is not good. It is good. WebEx is good. Microsoft Teams is good. GoToWebinar is good. I mean, if I have to choose, I choose Zoom. If Zoom is out of the game, then I have to see the needs of the institution. It depends on the needs. What do you need to do as teachers? What are the features that you need? And then we choose based on the needs. Because all of them basically do the same things. But so far, I think Zoom has everything and even more than anyone else. What is better, online learning or campus learning? Well, both. I mean, both. Personally, I mean, I love online education. I learned a lot of skills online. I mean, I learned how to create the whole university from learning online courses, how to do online courses. So I would say it depends. I love the idea personally that I can learn anytime, anywhere. And I don't, personally, I always have problems like putting on my clothes and going somewhere for a course. Like, for instance, now I had to learn German, and going every day to a German course and going with the, this, what you call it, the metro or the bus, or I'm sitting in my office or in my sitting room with my cup of coffee in my pyjama and attending a class. But I like the second option, much better. And I mean, in terms of the outcomes, I would say the same. For me, it was the same. Is it possible to QC assessments on Zoom? Well, excuse my ignorance, but I don't know what you mean by QC. What the QC, what does it stand for? QC, is it?
I think it's only polls, Doctor, like in the GoToWebinar. They meant
quality control. Quality control. Is it possible to quality control assessments on Zoom? Well, usually assessments don't happen on Zoom as such. You can ask questions via Zoom with using the polls, which is exactly the same as in GoToWebinar. However, you can use other online. I mean, if you would like to do the quiz online, while the students are online with you, there are other softwares you can do that Zoom can integrate with very easily. But Zoom itself has only the polls. You can ask questions, but it does not rate them. I mean, it just tells you that 50% said this and 30% said this and 15% said this. It's not actually a testing system. How is a tentative percentage calculated, based on which factors? Well, before the crisis, before Corona, and before all the attacks that Zoom received, Zoom used to give us an attentiveness report, and it was based on opening other tabs or not. So if someone is actually looking at the screen or the webinar screen, so it tells you that he is on. If he opens another screen or opens another tab, then it is detected from this attention thing. But after the crisis, because people were saying this is privacy thing and the teacher should not know what I am doing or whether I was looking at his screen or not looking at his screen, so Zoom removed this feature. So it's no longer there because of the privacy issues. How many participants does Zoom allow? Well, in the webinar, you have 100, 500, 1,000, 5,000, and 10,000. So you can choose which product you want. So it's possible. With the meeting, it's actually the same thing. No, with the meeting, it's not 10,000. I think the biggest number is maybe 500 in a meeting, because it does not make any more sense to have 500 people on the same screen. What is the attention span of students during the online teachings, which is better, physical or online? Well, as I mentioned, before the Corona thing, I mean, we've been using Zoom for 2 years, and I always downloaded this attentiveness report, and I was always very happy and very proud to have 97% as our percentage of attentiveness of our students. Sometimes it reaches 99%, sometimes it's 95%. But over 2 years, the percentage was 97%, which is extremely high. It's even better than the physical one. And even in physical education, you don't know whether the student is paying attention or not. I mean, he could be looking at you as a professor, but he is, spacing out somewhere. It depends on the teacher and the interactivity of the teacher and the skills of the interaction of the teacher. So as I said, now we don't know, but based on our experience before for the last 2 years, we had a 97% percentage. What is the future of Zoom, since Facebook is also coming with Zoom-like app? Well, it's a free market, and these guys are competing like hell. I don't know. I mean, I don't think there is anyone who knows what is the future of Zoom, but I say, from maybe also as kind of an entrepreneur who is leading a startup in Germany, the way Zoom management reacted to the crisis, their wisdom in how they dealt, and even the speed in how they found solutions, and very, very accurate and good solutions. I think Zoom is in very safe hands, and they have a very good leadership. And Facebook is Facebook. I mean, it has this name as Facebook. And when they created this Facebook Messenger thing, allowing 50 people, they were clever in choosing the name. I think it was for chatting. It's actually for family meeting, for friends meeting. It's not a teaching platform or a meeting platform. So I still, after I've seen the Facebook, what they have done, and even now Google Meet, they have expanded their Google Meet feature, and they made it free to everyone. It was only for the G Suite or G Suite thing. Now it's for everyone. So far, nobody could compete with Zoom Webinar, from my point of view. So you are using a different software for conducting exams. May I know which software it is? Well, honestly, I don't know the name, because this is our CTO who is responsible for these things. I know that we have developed a lot of things ourselves. I mean, what we did actually, our LMS is a customized LMS. We didn't get Moodle or Blackboard. I mean, I don't like ready things, because ready things, as I said, the main challenge is it's not customizable, it's not localizable. And I have a very unique needs, especially as someone who is living in a Western country and using Arabic. So when it comes to Arabic, all these ready LMSs don't work with us. So we had to create our own. And the way I say it is, it's actually like this. You know, when you want to buy a computer, when you buy the screen from a good company, and then you buy the processor from a very good quality and good company, and the casing from someone, the mouse from someone, the keyboard from someone. At the end, you have a very powerful computer, but does not exist anywhere in the world, but you can build something like this. And this is actually what we're doing for the other institutions we're dealing with. We show them how we can build an LMS based on their own needs. So we look at how you would like to do your quizzes. Okay, so we develop something. I mean, we don't create, we just put the puzzle pieces together. We say, okay, we get this puzzle piece and this puzzle piece and this puzzle piece, and then we create, and this thing will be only for you, unique for your own needs. And in terms of costs, it costs less. Or it doesn't, I mean, if the software is a little bit expensive, it doesn't cost that much compared to a ready feature or ready product. So when it comes to testing, I really don't know how it was built. I mean, I was a little bit in the picture, but now I don't know the names. Then I have to ask our CTO and how he is dealing with these things. Can gamification replace assessments and exams as students have to study well? I would say in terms of skills, yes. We have tried it and it gave remarkable results. I know the academics will be a little bit conservative with this. I mean, how can we deal with this and how can you? So I would say maybe the idea of gamification is really to make students learn. They know how, they understand the concepts, but maybe at the end you have to test them. But if you are in the university, you are teaching like core academic programs or subjects, and then you have other skills courses, I would say we can try gamification with the skills courses, and you will see a huge jump in the love of the students of doing things and learning. I mean, this was also a surprise for me. I tried, you know, as a startup, we always don't know answers, and the only thing we can do is what we call it, try fast and fail fast, or try fast and succeed fast. And we try with this MVB, minimum viable product. So we try something and see what happens depending on the reaction of the students. I don't know how was it, or how could the reaction be, even with e-learning, especially in the Arab world. But for our students, when they came into our webinars, and we used Zoom and we saw this, always the first reaction of our students who attend for the first time is like, ah, I did not imagine it's like this. I thought I will just watch a recorded video, a boring recorded video. But it's you there, or the teacher is there, and you have all these interactions, so they really enjoy it. So when we tried this and we saw the reaction, we tried to build on and on and on. So now our classes are very interactive. We use other third-party softwares and activities to make it really very interesting for the students. Recording are posted on LMS, or is it available to students on Zoom? Both. I mean, if you record on the cloud, so you can give them the link to the students and then they can watch immediately. Or you can download it from the cloud or from your own computer and put it on the LMS. So it's up to the teacher. What type of questions you give in timed quizzes, multiple choice questions or short answer questions? Usually multiple choices with very few short answers, very few. Because then, I mean, you can't control how long people need, but sometimes it's part of the exam that you have to ask them to write something, but we use short answers. What is the student feedback on breakout rooms? Does it stress them or fun? Thank you very much for this question. I was the one who was stressed, especially when I tried it for the first time. I did not know how it will work. I mean, how I can move. I mean, I saw videos and tutorials, but I mean, to live it is something else. The students love it so much that they did. I mean, it happened with me now many times, and I had the same behavior. Believe it or not, they asked me, can you leave the room open for us? And I mean, sometimes one time I opened the link, we finished around 6 p.m. I opened at 1 a.m. and they were still in the room discussing. I was amazed. And they obviously, I don't know, this having this simulation of real life in the comfort of my bedroom, obviously they love it for one reason or another, that he is actually sitting with his own colleagues discussing things, but at the same time going to his own kitchen, talking to his own wife or husband, and having lunch and dinner with his family, lying on his own bed, but he's writing on a board and thinking. Obviously, they like this experience so far. There is also another question here. In the GoToWebinar, we have percentage of interest for candidates. How is this calculated? I don't know. I mean, as I mentioned, after I started to use Zoom, and when I saw that Zoom really overcomes GoToWebinar, I did not go into detail. So I am so sorry, I don't know the answer to this question. So Dr. Suad, I see that all the questions have been answered on the chat and on the Q&A. I don't see any hands raised. Please, if you have a question that you would like to ask by raising your hand, please. Oh, here one. Yes. Okay. So
Dr. John is our Vice Dean for Clinical Affairs.
Okay.
You can,
welcome, Professor John. You just need to click on the unmute button. Yes.
Yeah, I think I've already done that. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I really want to just thank you on behalf of the administration, Dr. Fahd and Dr. Suad, who have taken the trouble to organize this. It was indeed a very interesting and very useful session. In fact, we have been having these sessions over the last few weeks now, and many of our faculty have actually been giving those sessions, and even the issue of gamification, they have demonstrated how they have used it in their subjects. And many of the things you spoke about, we had some basic knowledge. And now as you have presented it, it appears that we are ready to go on to the next level. I think it was a very aptly timed presentation. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.
And I look forward to further interactions with you and Dr. Suad. I'm sure she can, if she can work on the other requests from the faculty in some sort of a workshop sort of mode. Right now, we are grappling with the issue of how to start clinical teaching using the virtual lab. And in fact, just today, we have created a committee to start looking at all the options that are available for us. And I'm sure they will also be in touch with you for some support. Thank you again very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you very much. I have another question from Sanam. Can Kahoot be integrated with Zoom? Which other software? Actually, it's not integrated, but I mean, it's used in a very easy way. So whether it's Kahoot or Menti, you know, when you start the game, you just ask your students to go to, let's say, kahoom.it, and then they have to enter a PIN, a code, which is a number usually, and then they are in the game. And I, as a teacher, share the screen of the game on my screen, so they all see what's happening. With Menti also, they have another feature, which is you can have a QR code. I can show it on my screen, and with their mobile phones, they take a picture of the QR code, and they are immediately in the game. So there are a lot of ways of doing this, but they are not part of Zoom. I think Zoom is already talking to some other companies now to have these things integrated in Zoom, and I think they are maybe already or not yet, but in the future there will be something like this. But so far it just takes in 1 extra minute when we ask the students to go to the website or to take a picture of the QR code, and then they join the game. Okay, so I don't see any more questions.
Okay, I think we covered the main point of today's session, but still there is many things. So before closing this session, I would like to express further thanks to Dr. Fadi. Thank you so much, Dr. Fadi, to be with us today.
That's my pleasure.
And looking for more sessions in the future, maybe inshallah very soon. Thank you so much, Dr.
Yeah, it was really a great pleasure for me being with you. Thank you very much for your patience, for listening to all this. Hope it was really useful, and I will be very pleased to cooperate and do things with you in the future. Wish you a very nice day, and كل عام وانتم بخير, happy Eid, and we keep in touch. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much
much
for
for all
all
of
my
you.
colleagues for attendance. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.